Hello and welcome back. I am Cosmo Dad, and this is my lab. And today we're going to talk about why you may or may not want to add Diet Coke to your Lightener. We're going to talk about where this idea came from and test whether or not it's really doing what the people who are doing this are saying that it's doing. Along the way, we're going to talk about the pH of our Lightener, how the different developers affect that, why the pH of your Lightener is important.
You keep using the word.
If that sounds good, stick around. And while you're at it, hit the like button, comment below, and please subscribe. Okay, so somebody recently sent me this video of a stylist saying that their secret weapon to the perfect blonde was adding Diet Coke to their Lightener. It was interesting that it was specifically Diet Coke that they wanted to add, but I want to explore that. Now, their claim is that Lightener, having a very high pH, is harsh and irritates the scalp. What they're saying the Diet Coke does is lowers the pH of the Lightener, therefore making it more gentle on the scalp. Now, I have to start this out saying you should never purposely mess with the pH of your Lightener because it's the pH that makes it effective.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
It's kind of weird how Lightener works because, yes, it's the Lightener that lightens your hair, but it's also the developer that lightens your hair. I've talked about this in so many videos. Your developer is a hydrogen peroxide solution that will lighten hair on its own. Now, the effectiveness of how well this lightens is directly correlated to the pH that you bring it to. So when you add hydrogen peroxide to a mildly alkaline solution, it does mildly okay at lightening. When you bring your hydrogen peroxide to a higher alkalinity, it makes that oxygen far more active and far more able to lighten. So number one, it's the pH of Lightener that makes it work, and we should never purposely lower it. However, we really need to test this and see if that's actually what's happening. pH is a funny thing. The person in the video claimed, and I don't remember what it was, they claimed that adding the low pH soda to the high pH Lightener brings it somewhere to the middle. It's interesting because I have some really recent experience with pH and it not working out quite the way that you think it would.
And why are you smiling? Because I know something you don't know.
pH math doesn't work the way that like normal numbers work. This is a liquid soap that I made recently. I had made bar soaps before. I always wanted to make a liquid soap. So here it is. It's like Earl Grey scent. Here, you want to see a video of me smelling my own soap? So whatever. Earl Grey. Now, one of the things when you make liquid soap is it is a higher pH than you normally would. You add extra potassium hydroxide to your formula just to make sure that all the oils fully saponify. You then need to balance the pH. I used borax to balance the pH, but I tested the pH before, after, and during of both things. Now tell me if this math makes sense. The pH of the soap was at about an 11. My borax solution was about at a 9. And you really want your soap to be at around an 8, actually. So, I was following the directions, doing something that I've never done before. But I thought, I'll trust the process. So I took something with a pH of a 9, added it to something with a pH of 11, and I did actually bring it down to the pH of an 8. How is that even possible? Of chemistry. It's because there's a reaction happening. It's not like you can just take something a pH of 10 and add it to something of pH 5, and together they make a 7.5. It just doesn't work that way. So that's my number one red flag is,
I don't think it means what you think it means.
like, is this doing what they think it does? Probably not. So let's mix up some Lightener and see what we get. Let's do 20 volume, since we're theoretically doing this on the scalp. So I have my pH strips, and you can see really if it's a warm color, it's acidic. If it gets to the greens and even the purples, then it's alkaline. So the pH of 20 volume Let's give it a second, wipe it off. Very acidic, probably about a 3.5. It's like darker than a 4, but not quite as dark as a 3. 20 volume for peroxide, we'll call it 3.5. When I mix my lightener with 20 volume, now we're dealing with something, oh, we got a cool color. And it looks like 10, 11, probably about a 10.5 that we're looking at. Another red flag in that video, just saying, is the stylus doesn't seem to measure the amount of Diet Coke they're putting in there. And in a later video, we're going to talk about why that matters. For now, bottoms up. Okay, so the pH of Diet Coke, probably about a 4.5, maybe a little higher than a 4.5. So lighter than a 4, but darker than a 5. Now remember, if you know anything about pH, it's a logarithmic scale, so each level is 10 times greater or lesser than the level next to it. So it may seem like a 4.5 or a 3.5 to like a 4.5 is not a big deal, but that's actually 10 times less acidic the Diet Coke is than developer. But the moment of truth. Now that is a strange reaction. Would you believe that by adding a substance that's acidic, about a 4.5, to something that's about a 10.5, that we end up with something more alkaline than what we started with? So not only does the Coke not lower the pH, it actually raises the pH. So let's review. The claim is by adding Diet Coke to our lightener, it lowers the pH and makes it more gentle on the scalp. But the reality is that by adding Diet Coke to our lightener, it raises the pH. pH math doesn't make sense. The pH of lightener is formulated to the level it's formulated at for a very specific reason and makes it work a certain way. It's going to be effective, yet safe to use. By self-adjusting the pH of our products, we are either making it less safe or less effective. Don't do it. Follow the instructions. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you like what you saw and you want to see some more, go ahead and check out some of my other videos. Feel free to share with any of your nerdy friends. Click the subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Let me know what else you want to hear about. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.